What are the best games for get-togethers with friends? Gartic Phone is basically a game of online telephone, except you're given a random person's prompt from within your group, and you have to draw their prompt. The next person after has to figure out what the prompt was and write it out again, then it goes back to drawing and so on. You go back and forth until every person has seen every prompt. Then the game does something like a supercut of how the prompt evolved, with optional text-to-speech of the written prompts. Totally worth it. Detective Club. The basic premise is as follows. Everyone has a set of cards with some abstract pictures on them. One person chooses a word, writes it down on several notepads but leaves one blank and then passes them out so that everyone except one person knows what the word is. Everyone then plays two picture cards that they feel could relate to the word. The word then gets revealed and people then need to explain why the two pictures they chose were related to the word. Afterwards, everyone has to try and guess who was the person that didn't know what the word was and was just trying to bullshit their way through a plausible sounding explanation. Just had a new friends group gather. 2 games were a big success. The first, Sorry Don't Know the Name, was described a thing that comes up on the screen to your teammates and they have to guess what it is. Gets fun when you're doing animal impressions in front of new people. The other game was better though. We played I Have Never and it's good to see what people have and haven't done along with who's the adventurous types and who is pretty shy. Particular context. Since most of my friends work in creative fields, but you can have a lot of fun with drawing games like Scribble.io. This is the internet version, but you can definitely play the paper and pen version with real-life friends. This perfectly suits playing with kids, and is even funnier when you play it with other adults, drunk and on drugs, and start going full NSFW. There is also that another drawing game, called Cadaverx Quiz, that's my absolute favorite. And here again, it's totally suitable and even pedagogic to play with kids, but the real fun comes when you play with adults, full NSFW while doing coke. Spacey Team is the funniest thing ever. It's a game you can play on your phone together. You complete tasks but everyone has different panels on their phones and you get instructions for other people's panels. Problem is sometimes the panels or buttons are labeled Stop Shouting, or things similar to that. Played it for the first time yesterday and fell in love. The Crew. Also, games with traitor mechanics like The Resistance, Coup, Werewolves, etc. All-time favorites in my beer and games groups are Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes and Epic Spell Wars of the Battle Wizards. Duel at Mount Skullsfire. Please don't bring another box of Cards Against Humanity. I absolutely love Terraforming Mars. The premise is you play as a corporation developing technology to make Mars habitable. There are 3 factors that determine your progress: oxygen content in the atmosphere, warmth of the planet and oceans. You collect and spend resources and play cards to affect these factors. You earn points through the cards you play, how well you've advanced the board, and by affecting the global parameters. On the surface it may seem complex. There are a lot of pieces but the game plays smoothly and is very teachable. It has a lot of room for creativity. To really succeed at the game you have to be good at long-term planning. It takes about an hour or 2 to play and has infinite replay value. I highly recommend Terraforming Mars. Haven't found it on here yet but TBH, I think Monopoly Deal is probably THR best small group party game of anything. It's super easy and simple, doesn't require that much attention, can be dipped in and out of, is super competitive, and involves massively fucking over your mates. I've literally seen couples almost break up while playing. Fucking hilarious. I also love Quiplash, especially with some new mates. You find out how vile they are real fast. in case you wanna play a game at a party or so without everyone having to sit down and more being played in the background. There's a game in Germany, it's called Whist. Don't know if there's an English equivalent, but the idea behind it is pretty simple. Everyone gets challenges to fulfill without being caught. You get caught when someone believes you do a challenge and calls you out in front of the group. All challenges have different level of difficulty. Like one person for example has the challenges: do a push-up, talk about astrophysics, make someone compliment you, or whatever comes to your mind. For every task done someone gets points depending on the difficulty, and if he gets caught it depends on how you wanna play it. Either he loses points, or the one who caught him gets points. We like to combine the game with dares. Like, when you got caught 3 times you have to do a dare and the ones who caught you can think of the dare, or whatever comes to your mind. Really, you can vary this game in so many ways, but it really is a lot of fun. There's this one my friends and I enjoy called Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time. It's 4 players taking control of a spaceship and each one of you controls one aspect of that ship. One person is the pilot, one person controls the shield that rotates around the ship and the other 2 control the weapons. It's in 2D and done in a cute art style and really fun to play, especially if you can a full group. When I have large groups of people over and many haven't met each other before, I like to play a game called Table Topics. It's based on an actual game my sis and bro-in-law had that was basically thought-provoking but non-intrusive questions printed on a deck of cards, and you would pull a card and answer whatever question you got. I don't own that deck of cards, so in the version at my house I just whip out index cards and pens and everybody writes at least 3 questions down and puts them in a bowl. Then we pass the bowl around and everybody answers a question. It's actually a really great way to get conversations started and introduce people to each other. I swear by it. How many people, what kind of friends, are they the type to enjoy somewhat complex games? Is this competitive or chill? Dixit is a good chill game. With up to 6 players, The Resistance is a good 45-minute hidden role game that can be very competitive and somewhat complex. For 5-10 players. 7-9 players is really the sweet spot though. All the chill, apples to apples, Cards Against Humanity are chill games. Easy to learn, play, and good for getting to know people. Almost no limit to players but played best in a group of 4-8. Werewolf One Night is a good game if you're chill, but want a hidden role, as the game can be mathed out pretty easily. 3-10 players, mostly chill. Werewords is fun, as it's similar to Werewolf where everyone gets a role, but instead you're trying to get people to guess a word and can only respond with tokens for yes, no, or unsure. For 10 players, if you want more of a role-playing game, more stressful than chill, but usually really fun, Betrayal at House on the Hill is a great 3-6 player game. Everyone starts off exploring a random tile house, think Clueless graphics. Each player has their own stats. Then depending how the game goes, one player becomes the enemy, and the rest of the crew has to escape, kill them. It's quite fun. Absolutely zero fucking chill. If you want the most stressful and tiring game ever, might I recommend Captain Sonar. Played with 4,6,8 players, either teams of 2,3 or 4. You each have a job, and your subs trying to find and kill each other. It's a mix of Battleship, Snake, and Telephone. Great for building a team communication skill set, and terrible if you've got friends who don't do well with stress. Not Alone, No Chill, is a 2-7 player game where one person takes the alien monster, and the remaining players figure out how to kill it, or escape. Basically the human players are being hunted by the alien, and the alien will try to kill you, using a deck of cards. Cool, more competitive, less chill. Similar to The Resistance in that it's a card game by the same publisher, it's a hidden role game. Everyone is given 2 cards, and they are their very specific roles. Your job is to be the last person standing. If you lose both of your rolls, you are out of the game. 2-6 players, less chill, more competitive, bang. Dice, fresh take, bang. Dice is faster, easier, and more fun than the original bang. Card game. 3-8 players really gets bogged down when you get above 7 players. All the chill with a bit of competitive, Tokaido, it's just a walk from one place to another, your job is to just experience everything. 2-5 players, best with 4. Finally, probably the best game I've ever played that's about deck building, Dominion. It's a pretty simple game that gets more complex the more you play it. Basically, there are community cards. You start off with 10 cards, 7 coins, and 3 victory points. Useless in play. You have 4 phases: draw, action, buy, discard. Each person gets 1 action and 1 buy, but the community cards you purchase can give you more actions, cards, buys. Then once done you discard your entire hand, and draw 5 new cards. As you play, your deck gets bigger. Your goal is to buy more victory point cards, but knowing when to do that is difficult, as they cost 2,5 or 8, generally, and most people get stuck with 7 coins, and they will clog up your deck when you buy them, as they are useless card to draw. The game comes with multiple sets of community cards, so every game can be different. The game is over when either 3 community card piles are gone or the provinces are gone. The 8 cost victory cards. It's a fun game. It doesn't have to be super competitive, but it can be. If you've ever played Magic the Gathering, it's similar. If you've never played Magic the Gathering, it's easy to learn this version. Your average game is around 45 minutes to an hour. 2-4 players. If you want to go down the rabbit hole, you can easily spend hundreds of dollars in expansions for the game. Poetry for Neanderthals is really fun and dumb. Each player gets 1.5 minutes to get their team to guess the words on the cards they are pulling, but only using single-syllable words. There's a 1-point word and 3-point set of words you can try to get your team to guess. So for example, the card might say salad, chef's salad. As the reader, you could say something like leaf meal with eggs and ham. You can't say plate of lettuce and other veggies and meats because 3 of the words have more than 1 syllable. Ticket to Ride. I like to call it the Monopoly killer because it has a lot of the same tone as Monopoly without any of the bullshit Monopoly has. Like with Ticket to Ride, you'll actually finish a game because it doesn't take 6 hours. And even though it's competitive, it's not cutthroat. If your friend group is looking for something cooperative where you all work together, then Pandemic is the game for you. I'd go so far as to say that it's one of the best co-op board games out there since it's pretty simple and accessible. If you want the same vibe with far less complex mechanics, check out Forbidden Island. And finally, my all-time favorite party game with friends, especially if they have kids, King of Tokyo. It's a fun dice game that can be played in under half an hour. The rules are pretty easy to learn and, most importantly, easy to teach. There's not a whole lot of strategy involved, but that just means you and your friends will still be friends when the game is over. It's a little bit expensive, but get all of your friends together, go to the nearest hobby shop and buy, build and paint Warhammer models together. The most affordable way to do would probably be for everyone to get one of the easy-to-build paint sets, which come with 3 tiny people, a brush and the paint that you need. If you don't go that route, you will need to buy precision clippers, glue and the necessary paints you'll need for your models. Telestrations After Dark, hands down. Think Pictionary and telephone combined. You get a phrase you have to draw, then pass it to the person next to you, and they have to guess it. Pass it again, and now they have to draw whatever phrase the previous person wrote, etc. At the end, the person goes from the beginning and see where it ended up, especially with some of the dirty phrases and people's horrible drawing skills, which makes it even better. I played this game many times. and it guarantees laughs and a good time. I highly recommend Jackbox Party Packs 4 and 6, depending on how close you are with your friends. Monster Seeking Monster is hysterical. My friends and I have taken TV characters and played as their personas. Joke Boat is also a great game. My friends and I come up with new themes when we play these games, but if none of these float your boat, a PowerPoint night is super fun as well. There's a GM-less game called Die Laughing that's about being a character in a horror comedy movie. When, not if, your character dies, you become a producer and continue the movie. It's a great game for people who aren't familiar with tabletop gaming to get into it. Most people know how a movie works, follow movie tropes, and the game goes fine. It's always darkly hilarious. Remember, of course it's a horror game, so discuss boundaries before you start. Some people are really grossed out by certain things or are terrified of spiders or whatever, so be kind. Every game I've played is hilarious. https://www.nerdburgergames.com/die-laughing. Trial by Trolley basically takes the classic trolley conundrum, but instead of one person on one track and 5 people on the other track, the two teams play several good and bad cards to create their tracks and then argue over which would be the ethical choice. So for example, on one track you can have a 9-year-old cancer survivor, a scientist who will find the cure for AIDS, and Hitler. The other track could be a ball pit full of puppies, a friendly dragon you can ride around on, and a convicted child molester. After the two teams make their arguments, the conductor then chooses which track to ram through, and the team that didn't get killed get tokens. This goes on for a few rounds until one team gets 3 tokens. It's a lot of fun, but it's definitely a party game. Playing this with just a few people just doesn't work. My family and I play a game called Unstable Unicorns. It is a card game, but with some difficulty. It takes a while to learn. By the end you betray everyone. Basically there are certain types of cards you can play to your advantage and other cards you can play to other people's disadvantage. The object of the game is to get 5 or 7 unicorn cards, depending on how many people play. You play cards in order to prevent someone else to all of their unicorn cards. It takes a while to learn how to play, but it is really enjoyable once you know. Some awesome games not yet mentioned. That's What She Said, hilarious adult card game. My aunt actually peed herself when we played and my brother almost passed out from laughing so hard. Beat That, a bunch of physical and mental challenges, all ages. Easy to turn into a great drinking game too. Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza, super easy game for all ages. Nice icebreaker for groups. For board games, it depends on what friends you're playing with and how much commitment, energy you're looking to put in. If you're done for a potentially 2+ hour commitment, Betrayal at House on the Hill is an amazing game. The Game of Thrones board game is really fun too, but that's also a longer commitment and probably wouldn't be fun if you aren't already a fan of the series in some capacity. Other board games I'd highly recommend would be Dixit, Small World, or 7 Wonders. For video games, I don't have many unusual recommendations. Any of the Jackbox Party Packs, but especially 3 or 7, Mario Party, Mario Kart, Super Smash Bros., Starless may be a lesser-known one that's incredibly fun as well. Golf It, Ultimate Chicken Horse, and Human Fall Flat are all super fun multiplayer games as well, although I don't know how successful they'd be in a split-screen sort of setting. It has different names: dictionary or fictionary. Someone rotating finds an obscure word in the dictionary and, once you've determined that no one knows the real definition, everyone writes a definition. All of the faux definitions are read along with the real one and people guess which is real. You get points for guessing right or for fooling people. It can be really funny, doesn't work well with small groups.